Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, shalom.
Hallelujah.
Shalom. To those of you on the internet, this is KhazaqYah, and we're here doing a teaching on the rapture with my brother here, ObadYahu, and Yahu to Israel.
Shalom, shalom. You're in the audience.
We want to go straight to the point. We want to deal with the subject of the rapture because we need to understand, brothers and sisters, that there is a reason why that the enemy keeps continuously pushing this theory of the rapture on the church, on the Israelites, and the world at large, because the enemy has a method of operation which he operates in. So we want to deal straight to the point with this issue on the rapture.
So we're going to break down the history of it.
So I want to start with what's called the etymology of the rapture.
Okay.
And it says here, rapture is defined in Noah Webster's 1828 Dictionary of American English as the ceasing by violence, i.e. the transport rapidly, a state of ecstasy or a fixed state of mind when a person goes into a trance, where they are consciousness or senses are suspended. It says the rapture as a theory is a doctrinal teaching that supports the mass disappearance of millions of Christians, believers in quote-unquote Jesus, prior to the tribulation period spoken of in the Bible, the book of Revelation. Now, keep in mind that although the word rapture is not found anywhere in the scriptures, it is passionately taught on a large scale by many Christians, theologians, and end-time prophecy teachers. They have books out, Left Behind, video series, and all that. I mean, it has become a multi-million-dollar industry, this rapture theory. Teachers like John Hagee, Tim LaHaye, and I mean, the list goes. I can just T.D. Jakes. The list goes on and on. So, but the enemy has strategically pushed this rapture theory because it's a smokescreen. Right. Now, I just want to say, in order to fully understand the time and the setting of the futuristic, this whole thing, basically, brothers and sisters, is the origin from the Counter-Reformation. Now, the person that's responsible for the Counter-Reformation is a man by the name of Ignatius Loyola. Ignatius Loyola was a Jesuit. He is the person that's responsible for the Society of Jesus. Now, I don't know if you can see this on the video here, but I'll kind of, pan it when we do the edit so you can see it. But it's called on the, just want to kind of say this here, that when I was coming up as a kid, I would see on the communion table this IHS. And those of you that are watching, if you go and look at your communion table, you will see the IHS on the communion table. That is the seal of the Jesuits. Now, the Jesuits are the ones that's responsible for this promulgation of this rapture theory. That's where it came from. It started with the Jesuits. Why? Because these were the people that pledged an allegiance to the Roman Catholic, Holy Roman Catholic Church. Now, basically what it deals with is that the people who started studying the Bible understands the plan that Yah has for creation and for all of humanity. They started seeing the beast system in the Roman Catholic Church, brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
And so, as a allegiance to the Roman Catholic Church, they pledged, these Jesuits, started by Loyola's Ignatius, pledged an allegiance to the Roman Catholic Pope, that they would protect and serve the Catholic Church. And from that point forward, that's when they started pushing that futuristic doctrine, which was started in the Counter-Reformation. Now, those of you that are not familiar with the Counter-Reformation, Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer, had came against the Catholic Church, and he nailed the 91 Theses on the door of the church in Rome. Wittenberg? Yeah,
one of them.
One of them. And they started this counter-reformation because he started really showing the evilness of the universal church. And so these people were strategically set up. Now, I can't definitely prove to you and connect the dots, but I believe personally that is when that name Jesus started being used in reference to the Messiah. Because the Society of Jesus is actually Jesuit, or it says the Society of Jesus is a Christian religious order of the Roman Catholic Church in service to the universal church, whose members are called Jesuit soldiers of Christ.
That's what they are.
And the foot soldiers of the Pope.
Right. They see to it that whatever the plan is, it gets out and gets done.
And he says here, the founder, listen to this now, the founder is Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He was a knight before coming a priest. Now, that's a whole other order right there. He was a knight. Now, for those of you that are watching, you need to do a research on Knights Templar.
Right.
You need to do a research on the secret order of the angels, because it's all tied together.
Right.
So, the Counter-Reformation, which was started by Loyola's Ignatius, as a pledge of allegiance to the Roman Catholic Church, because why? At this time, historically, the Israelites, the people that look like me, brother over here, were being persecuted by the empire. And so, the discussion was that the Roman Catholic Church was the beast of Daniel and the beast of Revelation. So to smokescreen that, what they did was they changed and made people believe a lie rather than believe what was really truly actually happening. So there we have the historical account of that. Now, in addition to that, the rapture theory actually came by way of this young 15-year-old girl by the name of Margaret MacDonald. Now, Margaret MacDonald was a 15-year-old girl who was part of this futuristic teaching. And she started teaching people. She supposedly went off into a trance. Now, remember we read earlier, it says that the rapture is a theory, a doctrinal teaching that supports the mass disappearance of millions of Christians and believers in quote-unquote Jesus prior to the tribulation. And he says that that these people, that rapture is a transport rapidly, a state of ecstasy. Or a fixed state of mind when a person goes into a trance. Now, this sister went into a trance. Supposedly, she was being filled with the Spirit and, and Jake and all that. And then she had this vision of seeing millions of people being taken up into heaven. And from that, the people that were teaching the futuristic teaching grabbed the hold of this person's quote-unquote revelation and started incorporating that in the what's called the dispensational teachings. And from there, went from there to the theological seminaries, where they started teaching. The major theological seminaries like Dallas-Fort Worth Theological Seminary.
You mean cemetery?
Cemetery. and also people like C.J. Schofield, Finis Dakes. These people went to the Dallas Theological Cemetery, where they incorporated the doctrine from a 15-year-old girl who supposedly went into a trance and saw millions of people going into heaven.
But they don't tell you how she went into trance or what caused her to go into trance. And history tells us that what caused this woman to go into trance, she was sniffing lava leaves. She sniffed lava leaves. And that's what caused her to go into this trance. That's called Greek mythology. And that's where the whole concept of speaking in tongues comes from. And going into a trance, it's called the Delphi oracles. And they would sniff the lava leaf and go into a trance and get a vision. But they left that part out. But the educator right there, he put trance in the transcript, but he didn't put in there she was sniffing the lava leaf. Because she was trained to be a witch, what's called a diva. That's what a diva is, a goddess. So all you sisters out there, they call yourself divas, stop. Because it means a goddess who sniffed lava leaf to go into a trance to get a word. just like in the movie Gladiator. Remember in the movie 300, when he went to get orders to see if he was supposed to go into war, and he went to go see Pythia, the Python witch, who sniffed the lava leaf, and she went into a trance, and when she went into this little trance, she said they fixed her to say, because of the money of the Babylonians or the Persians, don't go to war. So they would snip the lava leaf to get instructions from a demon. So when she sniffed this lava leaf from volcanoes, which is the lake of fire, which is where Satan will dwell, when she sniffed from this place, she got a vision, and in that vision, she thought she saw people getting raptured up. What she might have saw was folk floating around in the lake of fire. That's what she must saw. But that's one little nugget, ain't kosher nothing, that they left out of there. I just want to put it back in its proper place.
So yeah, so that's what it was. She was into witchcraft, which is where all of these religious imaginas started from, witchcraft. Okay. Now I want to read something here with conjunction with the Counter-Reformation. It says in 1545 the Catholic Church held the Council of Trent in Rome, which ended in 1563. The council planned a counterattack against Martin Luther the Protestant and became a center for Rome's Counter-Reformation. Prior to the formation of the Jesuits, Rome's main method of attack was the open burning of Bibles and of heretics. So anybody, just like we're in today's time, anybody that came against the church, because that's what we're talking about.
The church, the Romans.
Anybody that came against the quote-unquote Christian church, the universal church,
absolutely,
they were deemed as a heretic.
Right, burn at the stake.
Burn at the stake. So they were burning Bibles because, like what we're doing here, they don't want people to be able to read this book for themselves.
Right.
They want you to learn and teach what they want you to teach.
They had to make sure that Martin Luther didn't get too far from them. So they found a way. They found a way to keep him at the door.
So here it says here, this is a quote now. It says, prior to the formation of the Jesuit, Rome's main method of attack was the open burning of Bibles and of heretics. Their barbaric behavior in the minds of the Protestants was proof that the papal Rome was the beast of Revelations.
Now, speaking of burning Bibles, we know that Antiochus Epiphanes did that, which was a Greek who invaded Israel during the time of the Maccabees, which is the father of perdition, the son of perdition, which is to come, which is what the world called the Antichrist, or the Anti-Messiah, or the beast, like you just read. He's going to do the same thing that his daddy did. You know, in 2 Thessalonians, Shaul called him the son of perdition. In order for him to be a son, he must have a father. His father was Antiochus Epiphanes. So I just want to throw that nugget in there.
Hallelujah. So now, going on, he says that the African slaves were laid waste in the wilderness of the desert. Now, I kind of skipped through some things here, but basically what brought about this statement, he says that the papal church of Rome was deemed to be the beast of Revelation. In Revelation, it says in Daniel 7:21 and 25 through 25, he says that the beast would make war with the saints, or the Israelites, and wear them out. And it's exactly what they did. They wore out the saints of the Most High.
Absolutely.
And he said, therefore, the Jesuit Society of Jesus was ordered and established. And he said this possibly could be when the Messiah, Yeshua's name, was changed from his Hebrew origin to the Egyptian Isis and the Latin Jesus to the English Jesus. Okay. Now, it's interesting to note that, and this is just kind of off the subject, but it's kind of interesting to note that the name J-E-S-U-S is pronounced Jesus, but yet in Latin lingo, it's pronounced Jesus. All right, now, so going on, he says here that the African slaves were laid waste in the wilderness, the desert. Now, we know in Deuteronomy 28, it was prophesied that what happened to Israel, that Israel will be laid waste in the desert and brought into America in the pits of ships.
Right.
Okay? Here we find that in the Jesuits were expelled from Portland in 1759, and France in 1764, and in Spain in 1767, and Naples in 1767, and Russia in 1820. Now, these people were fishing for something, you know, because they were expelled. These people, there is a connection between the Jesuit Spanish and Esau. That's a whole nother subject for another day.
Yeah, they adapted the spirit, and they helped take us what's called the Atlantic slave trade. They took big part in that, the Catholic.
So the Jesuits were commissioned by the Pope at the Council of Trent to develop a new interpretation of Scripture that would counteract the Protestant application of the Bible. Okay? Antichrist prophecies to the Roman Catholic Church. The Jesuit priest Francisco Ribera, and you can look it up on the internet, Francisco Ribera, R-I-B-E-R-A, from 1537 to 1591, is the father of the futurism doctrine. Okay? This took challenge of defending His Majesty in 1590. It was published, the commentary was published on the Revelation as a counter-Reformation interpretation to the prevailing view among Protestants, which identified the papacy with the Antichrist.
Now, let me ask you a question. You telling me that Martin Luther, the starter of the Lutherans, Luther called the Catholic the Antichrist, and he said the Antichrist started a theory called the Rapture.
Yes.
Now, this was said by Luther. So Lutherans, Protestant, what do they call them? Protestants, says that the Catholics started the Rapture theory. So today, my question is, has the Lutherans adopted the Rapture theory? The Protestants? Because that is a Protestant movement today.
Right.
Big time. But in the beginning, if most Pentecostal, Methodists, and all the rest of them, they come from the Protestant movement, if they knew this history, they'll know that their origin was anti-rapture.
Anti-rapture.
So now that thing done sucked them in. That's why I said earlier that the Pope and them had to see to it that Luther didn't get too far from them. Because we know that all Christianity comes from Catholicism, which is universal. So, wait.
So yeah, so exactly right. So originally, the Protestants, let me just read this here. It says that the Protestants, which identified the papacy with the Antichrist, he says he fought against the concepts of the Protestant church, which stated that the Catholic Church was the great whore of Revelation 17:1.
Wow.
That's in the history of the Protestant movement.
Now this is Luther saying this.
Luther.
Get it straight, y'all.
Now,
Luther said this.
So the smoke screen came after that, because we couldn't have a man attacking the global church.
Right.
Because that's Satan's church.
I'm a Gentile. Satan's house can't be divided.
Right.
You know what
So,
the said?
then brought about a brother by the name of Emmanuel Lacunza. That's L-A-C, Lacunza. L-A-C-U-N-Z-A. Now, he was a rabbi. Rabbi known as Rabbi Ben Ezra. From 1731 to 1801. A Jesuit priest wrote a manuscript in the Spanish title called The Coming of the Messiah in Glory and Majesty. La Venada del Messias e Gloria ya Masgastada. Now, my brother can help me say that. I don't speak Spanish, but that was a Latin book.
Yeah.
And it says, under the pen name of Juan Josapha, Rabbi Ben Ezra, about 1791, after being inspired by the writings of Francisco Ribera. Right? This manuscript is rare, but you can find it. You can find it. I have links for that if you want to check that book out. It costs a lot of money. It's a very high price book.
So during this time, our people was in chattel slavery, in captivity, and these Gentiles supposed to hear from Yah about this incident, and the children of Israel was in captivity. Wow.
So, because the Protestant knew, first of all, let me say this, brothers and sisters watching, everybody at this time in history knew who the true Israelites was.
Right. There was no secret.
There was no Ashkenazi Jew on the scene as being Israel.
Wow.
Not until 1948 that they became known as the world's chosen people, quote unquote.
Wow.
Okay, now, Edward Irving, we're following through the trend, okay? So we got the foundation set. This whole movement of the rapture started by a theory because the Protestant Reformation came against the Catholic Church to expose the evilness of the quote-unquote Catholic Universal Church. And as a result of that, the Jesuit order was established to protect and to serve the Holy Roman Catholic Church.
Right. Right.
And now they had to promulgate this doctrine of rapture and this allegiance to the Holy Roman Catholic Church through indoctrination.
Right.
All right? Now, Edward Irving, 1792 through 1834, was a Scottish, he was asked the question about what the Presbyterians first believed.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Scottish Presbyterian.
Mm-hmm.
He translated the works of Emmanuel Lucanza into English translations.
Okay.
And the book was entitled The Coming of the Messiah in Glory and Majesty with the Preliminary Discourse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this book was published in London.
So all these Gentiles is fascinated with the second coming of the Messiah. So they so fascinated that they begin to make up stuff.
Started making up stuff.
Yep.
Now, of course, he was paid. Everybody that knows the truth, that refuse to tell the truth, are being paid by the system because, just like in today's society, these preachers know the truth and won't tell the truth, but they're being paid to lie.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening in our society. They're being paid to lie because we talked about it a few weeks ago about how the government is setting the thing up where they go into these major churches.
Right, to teach Romans 13.
So now, we've already covered, I kind of jumped the gun with Margaret MacDonald. Mm-hmm. So she was the actual original person that actually, they incorporated that doctrine of the rapture, of the trance that she had with the futuristic teachings. Then John Nelson Darby, in 1800 through 1882, a Church of Ireland clergyman, later with the Plymouth Brethren, also promoted futurism and the secret rapture. Because see, what they did was they were already teaching this thing called the futuristic doctrine.
Right.
So they merged, just like the Catholic Church merged the Hebraic practices with Judaism, the Messianic Judaism, and created a religion called Christianity.
Right.
They merged the teachings of the futuristic teachings with the teachings of the rapture.
Mm-hmm. To keep unity in Satan's house.
See that? And they brought it together. Now, so they had to get a scholar, they had to get these so-called biblical scholars to be that force to bring it together. So John Nelson Darby was a Church of Ireland clergyman, later with the Plymouth Brethren. See, the Plymouth Brethren.
With some professional names on it.
They also promoted the futurism and the secret rapture. Darby attended a series of meetings on Bible prophecy that began in 1830 at the Powers Court, Ireland. Now, all this happened in Europe now. And at these conferences, Darby apparently learned about the secret rapture, as revealed by a vision to Margaret MacDonald, 15-year-old girl.
Yeah. And
promoted by Edward Irving, and he soon visited Margaret MacDonald at her home in Port Glasgow, Scotland. Darby later visited the Americans several times between 1859 and 1874, where his futuristic theology was readily accepted. Isn't that something?
Wow.
Then we have Samuel Prideaux Tregelles, from 1813 to 1875, formerly with the Plymouth Brethren. He became a Presbyterian and published The Hope of Christ's Second Coming.
So now it's an intertwining, and the snowball keeps rolling with this deception concept.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And in 1864, in which he gave the following testimony on the origin of the rapture. He was not in favor of the teaching.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote the book, but he incorporated teaching in it for the prophet. Then we had Cyrus Ingerson Schofield. C.J. Schofield.
Is that the Schofield Bible?
A Schofield Bible.
Yep, translated.
1843. Now, you got anything on the history of Schofield?
No, not right on hand.
Okay, Schofield was a Freemason.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say on that. We'll deal with that on another time.
What year was that?
But 1843.
Yeah, I think he was good friends with James Strong.
Mm-hmm.
James Strong and the guy who started James Taz Russell, the Jehovah's Witnesses. I think they was all buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It says he was greatly influenced by the writings of J.N. Darby, John Nelson Darby, and incorporated the futurism in his notes in the Schofield Reference Bible, which is what I have, which is what most people that teach from the scriptures teach out of a Schofield Reference or out of a Thompson Chain or out of a Finis Dake's Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here it says that the Schofield Bible was instrumentally in firmly establishing the Jesuit-inspired futuristic interpretation in the Protestant Bible schools of the United States in the 20th century.
Wow.
So Schofield was one of the first promulgators of pushing the futuristic with the rapture teaching in the notes. Now, from there it went to the Dallas Theological Seminary. Now, check this out. Cyrus Schofield founded the Evangelical Theological College, known as the DTS, or the Dallas Theological Seminary. Cemetery.
There you go.
In 1924. It says this was likely the most influential seminary in the United States today.
Wow.
Dallas Theological Seminary School. Right. Most people, most Baptist ministers, most Methodist ministers, and the list goes on, and what's the so-called now Word of Faith teachers that came from Rhema Bible Institute and came from places like Oral Roberts University came through the Dallas Theological Seminary.
Wow. Wow. Ain't that amazing?
So here he says, Schofield founded the Evangelical Theological College. He grabbed the hold of the futuristic teaching, grabbed the hold of the rapture, started the Dallas Theological Seminary.
So if you don't raise $8 million, God gonna kill him.
Right.
Like who, the Oral Roberts?
Now, check this out. He lists some people that was a part of the Dallas Theological Seminary.
Okay.
John Walbert. Now, you know this one here. Chuck Swindoll.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Rye. Hal Lindsey.
Wow.
And Hal Lindsey, incidentally, is responsible for a book that's called The Omega Code.
Yeah. End time Bible prophet.
Now, here's another one. The late Vernon McGee. You heard of him?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Kenneth Taylor, formerly of Moody Press and the founder of Tyndale Housing Publishing. Thomas Ice, the co-founder of the Pre-Tribulation Research with Timothy LaHaye and the Left Behind series.
So they pushing that thing, they pushing that thing. Man, oh man.
It reminds me of a scripture in Psalms. It says they all came together with one consent.
Right.
What we were talking about earlier.
Psalms 83. That's amazing.
Then Moody Bible Institute. So now we're coming up to current times now. Moody Bible Institute of Chicago.
Wow.
In 1890, C.J. Schofield began a comprehensive Bible correspondence course later taken over about 1914 by Moody Bible Institute. Dwight L. Moody, the founder of Moody Church, had converted Schofield, and Schofield preached and presided at Moody's funeral. Moody is responsible for the Sunday school lessons distributing to the Assemblies of God churches in 1914, which was the introduction to the futuristic and the secret rapture theory to the Assemblies of God.
Wow.
They are also responsible for publishing the Rye Study Bible by Charles C. Rye, a graduate of Dallas Theological Seminary. Additionally, Jerry B. Jenkins, the co-author of The Left Behind with Tim LaHaye and the former vice president of Moody Bible Institute.
Man, you connecting all the way back from the little 15-year-old girl who sniffed lava leaves, who was a diva or a witch, and had a theory, and from this 15-year-old girl, you got all the way down to the Moody Bible Institute. That's amazing.
And then, now, this last part here, Wesleyan Theological Cemetery. The Reformed Church in America, that's what it's called. Now, we coming way up.
Wow.
The Reformed Church in America. Listen, y'all, listen to this.
Okay.
You think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you what's out there, okay? Western Reformed Church in America. Attendees include Tim LaHaye, the founder of Tim LaHaye School of Prophecy, which opened on the campus of Jerry Falwell's Liberty University.
Wow. He's deceased now.
He's deceased. And Tim LaHaye says he was impressed by the prophecy conferences at Albury Park and Powers Court held in Britain. Britain. In 1820 and 1830s, and Darby attended and apparently greatly influenced these 19th century British prophecy conferences. Now, I just want to kind of throw something in there.
Okay.
We know today there's a group of people that's called themselves Israel, British America.
Wow.
They're part of the system, brothers and sisters. So if you are an Israelite aware and you are attending a Brit-Am congregation, get out of it. All right?
Wow.
So he says that the British prophecy conferences were the secret rapture of futurism gained acceptance among Protestants and prophecy scholars. Now, other raptures bring it all the way up to the current hour where we are. Other rapture teachers include Jack Van Imp, the late Jerry Falwell, John Hagee, who preaches and pushes that the Arabs have always been in war with the Jews. Not scriptural, but he teaches that. Okay? The King is coming. Grant Jeffrey.
Yep, another one.
Hilton Sutton.
Yep.
Zola Levitt.
He dead now.
John Ackerman. Here's one of my most recent guys who was corresponding with me. Perry Stone.
Wow.
Chuck Meiser, David Hunt, and T.D. Jakes.
Wow. Wow.
But
many more.
So historically, that's all I have to share with regard to the history of the rapture. So we have to understand that this thing is deeper than just a scriptural interpretation.
Right.
This thing has a root in Satan. This has a root in the plan of the beast, who is trying to create a deception and a distraction to make us believe the lie than the truth. And the scripture says that in the last time that Satan will deceive the very elect.
Yep.
If it's possible.
Elect is in captivity. Now, let me ask you a question. Now, watch this. Now, pay attention to what I'm about to say, you noise. Now, let's go back in the scriptures. Think about the time when the children of Israel was in captivity, in the Babylonian captivity. Okay? Because during the time when this theory was created, we was going through what's called the Atlantic slave trade. So we was being hobbled up, and we was being taken across the world in ships to go into captivity. Now, the same thing was going on back during the time of the Babylonian captivity. Now, let me ask the viewing audience a question. And let me ask the family that's here a question. Do you actually think in your right mind, during the time the children of Israel was in captivity, the Most High would have spoke to a Babylonian and gave a Babylonian revelation in the Word?
Negative.
So, during the Babylonian captivity, the Father spoke to Jeremiah, didn't he, right?
Correct.
The Father also spoke to Ezekiel, didn't he?
Yes, correct.
Okay, now those were some prophets that was doing, and Daniel. during the Babylonian captivity. There was more, but those are the three that's most famously known. So, during this time, do you actually believe in your mind that the Father's going to give revelation to a heathen? A heathen. And Israel, where is the rapture theory with the prophets? It don't exist. So this is a modern day, new age theory that came from heathens, people. This came from European heathens. Now ask yourself, you think the Father's going to give a revelation to a Canaanite during the time the Canaanites were fighting Israel? Ain't happening. So why would you think the Father would give these heathens? Who is the modern day European? Why would he be more special than the yesterday Canaanite or the Babylonian or the Assyrian or the Philistine? Why come the Father didn't give a Philistine revelation? When David was fighting against the Philistines, the King Saul, why come he didn't do it then? Because the Father didn't operate like that. He told us in Amos that Israel, you're the only one I've known. I make myself known only to Israel. So you think the Father's going to give a new mystery, something that was hidden in the scriptures to a Gentile? I think not. That's not the Father's MO. He didn't do it with the Canaanite. He didn't do it with the Babylonian. He didn't do it with the Philistine. And he definitely didn't do it with the European. So you can throw that whole rapture theory in the garbage. Now, we proved the rapture theory. We went to its origin. Now we finna slam it and smash it and crush it via the Holy Scriptures. All right?
Hallelujah.
So you ready to hit it in the Scriptures?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, we're going to do this a couple of number ways. We're going to start with Matthew, the 24th chapter. And we're going to do this the long way. So tie your seatbelt up, viewing audience and family. We're going to go through it the long way so we can get the full revelation. And then we're going to drop some nuggets. That way we can give to you in a short version. Because this is something, like my brother just showed us, that's been deeply ingrained and pushed and planted in us from childbirth. We was born into this captivity, and we really ate whatever the slave master put on the table for us. So he gave us a theory called the rapture theory, which ain't even in Scripture. But we done fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. So let's start with Matthew 24 and the first verse. All right. Yeah, you can read. You can help me. We can read together. Okay. 24 and 1.
Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall be thrown down.
Now we know that the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. Yahushua just said something. He just prophesied. And we just read what he prophesied, which is his testimony. That right there came to pass in 66 AD to 70 AD. Those temples were torn down. And it happened. Now, watch this, verse 3.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be?
Now, that's one question. Can I ask a couple of questions? Continue on.
And what shall be the sign of thy coming?
That's the second question. Now, he's going to ask one more.
And of the end of the world.
Now, the end of the world, the third question, or the end of the age, or the end of time. So the disciples asked the Messiah, based on his testimony that he just gave in verse 2, they asked him 3 questions. The 3 questions again. Tell us, what should these things be? What things? The tearing down of the temple. Remember he just told us in verse 2, there should not be left here one stone upon another that should not be thrown down. That's one thing the disciples want to know about. They want to know, what is the sign of your coming and the end of the world, or the end of the age, the end of mankind dwelling on the earth outside of Yah. All right? They want to know those 3 things. What we're going to deal with mostly is a lot of 2 questions. The lot of 2 questions is, what should be the sign of your coming? Because that's all they talked about, right? Yahushua's second coming, because he's there now. So that was his first coming. So what is his second coming and the end of the age? Why? Because his second coming is at the end of the age. So we're going to deal with those two questions. And in dealing with these two questions, we're going to deal with the rapture theory. Because they say in the rapture theory, prior to 3.5 years of his second coming, that Christians or believers in the Messiah will be caught up in the clouds, and then tribulation is going to hit the world, and then he's going to come back with the saints. Something to that effect, right? Is that how they put it?
So it's going to be 3 comings.
Right. In other words, or they're going to be suspended in the air for 7 years or 3.5 years. I can't remember. Or we will forever be with the Lord, as they say. So they're going to be in the sky for 7 years. So they're going to be hanging on the coat hanger, on the coat rack of heaven for 7 years. Because remember, heaven is going to be on earth. Thy kingdom come, a new heaven and a new earth coming down. But they don't talk about that. They think people is dead right now that's in heaven. So they think that Yahushua is going to come, and he's going to stop halfway his journey here, snatch them up, and send them away to chill for 7 years, and then come down and destroy people. All right? And so, and basically where they get that from is in Revelation, where he said, I will keep you from an hour of temptation. Now, we're going to deal with that, but let's just deal with these two line of questions that the disciples asked the Messiah. Okay, it's verse 4.
And Yeshua answered and said unto them,
the disciples,
take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed, pay attention. There's going to be a lot of deceptions in this time. Continue on.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and shall deceive many.
Now, when he said that, that's twofold, family. He said, many shall come in my name. Some people going to actually say they him, and some people going to actually say they were sent by him. So they're going to come in his name, whether they saying, I am Jesus Christ's man. Like this fool, because I can call him a fool biblically, because he don't believe in the Messiah. He believes that he is the Messiah. He calls himself Jesus Christ's man. This Puerto Rican down in Florida, in Miami. Many people going to come say they are the Christ, like this man. And a lot of people going to come and say that I am an ambassador for Christ, like the rapture theorist people, the Jesuits. They say they come in the name of Christ. Okay, continue on.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So we see that we hear today wars and rumors of war. Right now, as we speak, America is over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the rumor is that they're going to Syria. That's the rumor. Or Iran is the rumor.
Right.
So the rumor now is Iran, but the war right now is in Iraq and Afghanistan, chasing bin Laden, who some people say he's been dead since December of 2001. You know, the report is that Osama bin Laden has been dead since 2001, December. But the man is supposed to be in Afghanistan looking for this man, and right now we have the Iraqi War Part 2, but the rumor is America is going into Iran. So we have the war and we have the rumor in 2007. Okay, continue on.
Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places.
And we can test to that. It's always been famine in Africa throughout all our life. You know, and even in America, we see that there's earthquakes. Hollywood continue to burn. The West Coast is on fire. The East Coast is dry. And there's flood up in Washington. So we see that there are pestilence, and we see earthquakes and different things in different places.
Tsunamis.
Right. We had the tsunami, you know, recently, where it killed, 200,000 people? A wall of water. You know, there was an earthquake under the Indian Ocean that created the tsunami, and making so tripped out about it is that the animals was aware of it. And they say elephants was actually grabbing people
Wow.
and dragging people from the shores of the ocean in parts of Africa and in other parts of India, because the animals was in touch with nature.
Wow.
Yeah, so we see that there are tsunamis and different tripped out weather all over this world. Okay, continue on.
Verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrow.
So these are the beginnings of tribulation. These are the beginnings of sorrow and pressure and the signs of his second coming. So these are the beginning of it. The end ain't here yet, but it's coming, y'all. Continue on.
Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
So for the name of Yahushua's namesake, which is Yah, for Yah's name, the salvation of Yah, for that name, persecution is coming. It started spiritually, and it's going to grow to naturally, because the son of perdition is here on earth, and he's going to call himself above everything that is called Yah. So if you coming in the name of Yah, believing in the name of Yah, you're going to be persecuted for that name's sake, because Yahushua came in his father's name as well. Okay, continue on.
Verse 10. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
Because even those of us that know the Messiah's name, that heat is going to turn us against what we believe. Because when that pressure comes, that tribulation comes, then you will see the true person behind all them words.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to continue, we're going to begin to be persecuted for the Messiah's namesake, and as a result, betrayal is going to come. Because during this time, man, it's going to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of persecution from this beast, who these Jesuits that you read about earlier worked for. Okay? Continue on.
And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many.
Just like those false prophets he read earlier. You know what? Let me see that paper, and let me read some of the names of these false prophets. It says, many false prophets shall arise. What page is that on? Here it is. Many false prophets shall rise on your local television station and on the internet. Jack Van Impe, Jerry Falwell, John Hagee, Ed Hensley, Grant Jeffries, Hilton Sutton, Zoe Levitt, John Eckenberg, Perry Stone, Chuck Missler, David Hunt, and many, many more. Those are false prophets who are teaching you a rapture theory. That's what makes them a false prophet, because their rapture theory not in the book. This is not a personal attack on them. I'm just giving you the names of the people who teach the rapture theory, and if it's not in the book, then you are a false prophet. You don't need to be wrong many times to be a false prophet. If you wrong one time, you're a false prophet, because you wrong.
Okay.
So many of these guys have risen up, and they are deceiving many, because these ministries I just read, Jerry Falwell, Jack Van Impe, these guys have universities, and these guys have television programs. And to keep their programs up, they sell videotapes and CDs and stuff. So they are deceiving many. So there's a lot of people being deceived by this rapture theory. All right, continue on.
And because, verse 12, because of the iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
So there's going to be so much lawlessness, so much sin, that folk is really going to get cold. Evil, wicked, short patience. Everything that's the opposite of the fruit of the Spirit. Verse 13.
But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved.
Very, very key, very important. He that endureth, not snatched up and taken away, but he that endureth, goes through these pressures, goes through the tribulation. He who goes through it shall be saved. All right, continue on.
And this good news of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Just like we're doing right now. We are teaching the good news of the coming of the kingdom into all the world, because this is going to be on the World Wide Web. It's going to be on the internet. So right now, prophecy is being fulfilled in your ears and in your eyes, right to this very moment, because we don't have liberty, power to go worldwide via jet and plane yet, unless it's Yah's will. So right now, we doing it via the internet. So we talking to somebody in China right now, somebody in Russia, all parts of Africa, in Israel, somebody all around the world is hearing the good news concerning the coming of the kingdom of Yah, which is coming through Yahushua.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. 15.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the set apart of the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
Now, this right here, the abomination means idolatry to its highest point. Desolation means come to nothing, destroyed, zero. So when you see abomination, desolation, that's an individual, that's an idolater who's called the Antichrist, the Anti-Messiah, the son of perdition, the beast himself. When you see that beast, that idolater, who's going to bring things to nothing, sitting in the holy place, which is Jerusalem, the set apart city, then he says, verse 16,
then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains.
Now, this is a twofold prophecy. This happened more than once. Matter of fact, it happened more than twice. This same prophecy was given by Daniel, and when the Most High spoke this to Daniel, he had our people's mind in the time of this right here, when Yahushua said in verse 2, he says, verily, he says, see all these things I send to you, there shall not be here left one stone. Now, that was the ramshacking of the community of Israel, which is Jerusalem, by Titus, the Roman emperor. That started in 66 AD and it lasted 4 years to 70 AD. But before that, we had during the time of the Maccabees. We had in First Maccabees, which is roughly 150 years to 175 years prior to Yahushua coming, what they called the in-between testaments, what they taken out of the Bible. Let me show you something real quick.
Dark ages, they call it.
Right, the dark age, the 400 years between Malachi and Matthew, what they say Yah wasn't speaking.
Right.
That's a lie. Now, in the 1611, the King James translated the Bible, really from 1609 to 1611. 2 years he translated the Bible. In the original 1611 edition of the Bible, it has the book of Maccabees in it. So if King James would come alive, he would ask the modern day conspirators, where is the Apocrypha? Because when he was alive, it existed. You can read about Antiochus Epiphanes, the abomination of desolation, in First Maccabees. So if I take the Apocrypha and put it inside of my modern Bible like this, this modern King James Bible is equivalent to the 1611 King James Bible. See that? This is a continuation of the conspiracy that the brother read about with the Jesuits. The same Jesuits that started the Rapture theory are the same ones who took the Apocrypha out of the scriptures. So you can read about the first abomination of desolation that Daniel spoke about was a Greek named Antiochus Epiphanes. And then Yahushua quoted it just prior to his leaving. So 6600 AD, he came again under Titus. So after Titus, he's coming again to Jerusalem, the son of perdition, who, right here we have a flyer, the EU Constitution. It says December the 13th, 2007, the EU Constitution has been revived, and that has picked a leader who is believed to be the anti-Messiah. So this third time of Jerusalem being ramshacked by the abomination of desolation, this is about to come again. He also said those of us that was there should have fled to the mountains. So that's a key. Those Israelites, which are, we know modern day Israelites, are in the land. according to Jeremiah 30th chapter, Israel have to be in the land when the anti-Messiah is come on the scene. We know that we got some brothers and sisters in Demona. Not only in Demona, we got other areas of Israel that our brothers and sisters live in today. Yahushua was telling you all something, that when the son of perdition shows his behind us in the holy place, which is Jerusalem, he say flee to the mountains. Why? Because that is the wilderness place that was prophesied that some of us is going to be kept, or that's believed to be the wilderness place. So that's a key. Flee to the mountains of Judea. That is a hiding place where the earth is going to hide the remnant, or part of the remnant of the children of Israel that's in that part of the world when this man here gets here. Now, let me say this. When this man shows up on earth, all Israel ain't going to be in Israel. Israel is going to be at the four corners of the earth. But we know that a segment of us will be in Israel. So, verse 16 again. Let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. So if there's some Israelites under the sound of our voice that's in Jerusalem, when this anti-Messiah hit, don't look back, take your things and go. And you can read Josephus' book. Josephus wrote about 66 AD when Titus, General Titus of the Roman Empire came and ramsacked, and he said he locked down the city. He said that no one could get in and no one can get out. And he said he killed Israelites, and the Israelite bodies were just floating in the seas and laying in the ground. And he was just, this son of perdition, this abomination of desolation was killing Israel big time. All right? So my brothers and sisters on the sound of our voice that's in the Holy Land, when this guy sit up in this position, flee. Get out of there. Get to the mountains. And Israel, you were talking earlier about how the Jews had this crown. They got this crown for this man because they the one who is his backer. If he was the running back, they would be the fullback. So the Jews is blocking the way for the son of perdition to get in the seat. So they got Jerusalem trotting down. The Gentiles trotting down Jerusalem for this man. So when this man sits in office, they're going to crown him. This is our Elijah that was promised to come. The son of perdition. The abomination of desolation. So verse 17.
Verse 17, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
He said, get out of here. Just like during the time of Pesach. When the death angel come, he said, have everything girded. And after midnight, flee. Get out of there. Israel got to be a spontaneous people. We can't allow grass to grow on our feet. When y'all say move, we got to be sojourners. We got to go. You can't be happy and plant yourself and try to get your sovereignty in the land of your captivity. You know, this whole thing with the sovereignty. Don't get caught up in that, Israelites. Don't get caught up getting sovereignty in America. It means nothing. You ain't never going to be sovereign here. Our home is Israel. But when y'all tell us to move, then we move. So until y'all tell us to move, you stuck here. But don't be trying to get your sovereignty here. Your sovereignty is going to be with Israel. That's a trick to get you comfortable in this land of captivity. So when your enemy comes and when the Spirit is saying, flee, run, you're going to throw up a flag and say, I'm a Moorish American or I'm a sovereign American, and he's going to cut your head off. You think some papers is going to detour the American government from cutting your head off? When the American government dethroned a sovereign king named Saddam Hussein, went into this man's country and took his throne and pulled his statue down and killed this man. So you think that they won't do it to you, whom they had enslavement for the last 600 years? It's been over 400 years. Count the time. We've been in enslavement in this part of the world almost 600 years now. So you think this man is going to adhere to a piece of paper saying you sovereign and a flag? Man, you better flee. You better flee. Continue on.
Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. Verse 19, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Even the pregnant sister's going to catch hell. Woe unto those. So you, even your pregnancies in these last days, plan them. Ask Yah. Should I have another child in this wicked time? You know, stop having all this free sex without consciousness. Even seek the Most High. Because when you read during the time of the Babylonian captivity, the Father told Jeremiah, do not have a child. Do not get married, and don't bring no child into this captivity. So there is a time to seek the Most High concerning having children. He said, woe unto the women that's nursing children during this time. Because them sisters going to be over in the land, in the moment, having babies. And that beast man going to come through. So we praying for our family in Demona and throughout Israel. We praying for Israel. Continue on.
20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Look at that. He said, pray that your flight be not in the winter, because it's hard to travel in the winter. And on the Shabbat. Why? Because historically, every time Israel was attacked, it was on the Shabbat. Because the world knows we resting. So your guards is down. So praying it ain't on the Shabbat. Because on the Shabbat, we caught up. You know what I'm saying? We resting, we chilling. Because that is a day of rest. You know what I'm saying? You ain't in go mode. So that's one of the reasons why the Messiah is saying what he's saying. He's telling you how to pray in these last days.
And so if the Sabbath is done, then how would he be saying that prayer would not be on the Sabbath?
Very good point. So if we were supposed to keep the Sabbath in these last and evil days, I don't want to get on names, but it's showing at the tip of my tongue. There's some Israelite brothers that's out here teaching that we're not supposed to keep the Sabbath and the feast days. That is ridiculous. That's a very good point, Israel. Very good point.
21. Then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since. I read that already. Verse 22.
That's cool.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Now, at the end of this lesson, I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to deal with these days being short and why they were short. Because prophecy says that tribulation is 3.5 years. But the question is, based on this scripture, is it so? That's a very good question. It said, except the days be shortened. Except the days, think about that, except the days be short. So there was a certain number of days that was set. But because of tribulation, because of nuclear power, because of this beast acting a fool, he would have killed everything and everybody. But the Father said, you know what, son? Stop it. Go now. Because my elect is crying out to me. And if I don't answer my elect, which is on earth, hiding,
Hallelujah.
if they don't, because if I don't go and rescue them now, there will nobody be here. The scripture says all eyes must see the Messiah coming. So scripture got to be fulfilled. So time will be shortened for the elect's sake. So the 3.5 years tribulation or the 7 years tribulation, is it going to be that long? Something to think about. Think about it. I'm going to deal with that later though. Continue on.
23. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is the Messiah, or there, believe it not.
Right, because during this time of chaos, a lot of people going to say, I am the Messiah. You know, we heard of this operation by the government called Operation Blue Beam, where they're going to bring this false hologram Messiah. You know how they did on Star Wars, when they would all have a meeting and a hologram would pop up, and you could be talking to some kind of film or cartoon, but it looks real. Now, they have affected that thing. Look at the movie Transformers. And when you see in the movie Transformers, that beast, that robot that came to the earth when he attacked the United States military, he came and he transferred himself to a human being. You see, that's what the government is going to do in these last days. They have the technology to show as if a man is coming down and transform himself. But there's one way that we know that that's not the Messiah. We're going to find out real shortly. Continue on.
24. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
So they're going to be showing great signs and wonders. This man, this son of perdition, that's what the whole thing, Da Vinci Code was about. Da Vinci Code, Jesus slept with Mary Magdalene and had a descendant that went to France. And now it's supposed to be some Jesus blood. So this man is supposed to show up, the son of perdition, this Antichrist, is supposed to show up in these last days saying this is the return of Jesus Christ. That's what that whole thing was about. Continue on.
25. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert.
So we know there's going to be some folk in the desert saying there is a Messiah.
Go not forth.
Don't go that way.
Behold, he is in the secret chambers.
Somewhere locked up, maybe in the jail. Oh, they got Jesus. Jesus returned already, man. But he's locked up right now. He's locked up, but he about to break loose and set us all free. During this chaotic time, there's going to be a lot of false prophets saying a lot of crazy stuff tied in the scriptures, and people going to believe it is because they wasn't ready for this time. And because you're not ready for this time, whatever comes and satisfy you at that moment, you're going to believe it. So take heed to what we're saying. Continue on.
Believe it not. 27. For as lightning come out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
That's how we know when your host will come. All eyes gonna see. See, you can get a hologram, you can show X amount of people. But it says, as lightning shines out of the east, everybody see the lightning. Boom. Why? Because lightning is brighter than the day. Lightning can flash, man, when the sun is at its highest point in noon. You still gonna see lightning. Lightning is a similitude to the Messiah's coming. Every time you see lightning flash, think of Yahushua's second coming. Because all eyes gonna see it. And it's gonna be in the east. He's telling you. In the east. Lightning shines in the east. From the east to the west. You're gonna see it. Everybody gonna see that lightning shines from wherever you at in the world. It's gonna be in the east, at least for us, because it's gonna be in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives. Boom, you're gonna see that lightning, and that's how you're gonna know. Just like they did in the war, what they call it, the World Wars, with what's the boy named Tom Cruise? Them beasts was coming down in lightning, and they would hit the ground, and they would come. See, all these movies, they get their ideas from scriptures, and they playing with scriptures, and they playing with your mind and your emotions. But this is how we know the host was second coming. 28.
It could too also be satellite imagery.
Absolutely. Right? That's a very good point. Satellite imagery.
28. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
Now, let's pause right there for 1 second. Now, what is he talking about? What is he talking about when he says, wherever the eagles be gathered, there will the carcass lie? Now, let's read something. Let's go to Luke in the 17th chapter, and let's read this same account. And Luke give us a better understanding. Because this right here is going to kill their rapture theory. Wherever the eagles be gathered. It's going to be some dead bodies, y'all. It's going to be some dead bodies.
Wow.
Luke 17, and we're going to start at the 34th verse.
Luke 17:34. I tell you, in that night there shall be two men in one bed.
Uh-oh.
It's not talking about homosexuality.
No, it ain't talking about homosexuality, but in that night, he's talking about the night of his second coming, so that's another clue.
There shall be two in one bed. Actually, men is in italicized. Two in one bed, and one shall be taken, and the other shall be left.
Now, we know they ain't homosexual because one was taken and one was left. Okay, continue on. Because both of them bad fellas to be taken. Okay, continue on.
Two shall be grinding together. And
wow.
The one shall be taken and the other left.
Now, you know good well there's a perverted man that wrote this. Okay, continue on. Translate it now.
And two shall be in the field. The one shall be taken and the other left.
Now, he's going to explain to us where is the one taking and where is the one left? Watch this.
And they answered and said unto him, Where, Master?
So where are they going to be taken, Rabbi? That's the question. Where would they be taken? Where are the ones that get raptured up? Where is the rapture? What is happening to them? And what does he say?
And he said unto them, Wheresoever the body is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
So the ones that's going to be raptured or taken up, they're going to be killed. Wherever the dead bodies are, the eagles will eat them up. Because at his second return, there's going to be some judging and making some war. So before we read the two more verses in 24, let's go to Revelation 19. And this is all dealing with Yahushua's second coming. Signs of his second coming. We're going to start at 19 and 11.
Revelation 19:11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war.
So he's coming to judge and make war. He's judging and he's killing. That's what you do. You judge, you clean, you good. You evil, you die. See that? You to my right hand, you live. You to my left hand, you die. The one died was the one taking. All right? Verse 12.
His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
Look at that.
He was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of Yah.
Mm-hmm.
And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and shall rule them with the rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of the Almighty Yah.
So he finna tread the wine press. It's going to be a lot of blood. He finna smash. The wine press is smashing and bringing about grape juice. Grape juice is symbolic to blood. Verse 16.
And he have on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, Sovereign of Sovereign and Master of Masters.
Now watch this. Now this is what he explained to us about where the eagles gathered. Watch this. 17.
And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim.
So there's a supper. Okay. He said, all you fowl, right? So isn't an eagle a fowl? Mm-hmm. Isn't then Yahushua would say, wherever the eagles gather the bodies will be? So where are they going to be taken? They're going to be taken, they're going to be killed, and the fowl, the eagles, are going to eat them up. Watch this. 18.
That ye may eat the flesh of kings,
Kings,
and the flesh of captains,
captains,
and the flesh of mighty men,
mighty men,
and the flesh of horses,
mm-hmm,
and of them that sit on them,
mm-hmm,
and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great.
So no matter what your status is on this earth, in this life, if you are living at the time of the second coming of the Messiah, and you're not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, you will be destroyed. You're going to be taken up in the twinkling of an eye. You're going to be killed. That's why the one that's going to be taken. See, the rapture theorists got it backwards.
Reverse. Yeah.
They got it backwards. They think the one going to be taken is protected. They setting you up for the slaughter. Those of you going to be taken, you're going to be taken to the fire. After you die, you're going to the lake which burns with fire. Continue on.
And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army.
Look at that.
And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him.
That's those signs and wonders. Mm-hmm.
With which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast,
Let no man deceive you. Uh-huh.
and them that worship his image.
Look at them.
These both were cast alive into the lake of fire.
They were taken and cast into the lake of fire. 21.
Burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh.
So let's go back to Luke, the 17th chapter, and answer his question, 17 and 37. Now, if you follow along with it, you know this is very, very elementary, and this kills the rapture theory. So we're going to pick it back up at Luke 17 and 37.
17:37. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Master? Where, Rabbi? And he said unto them, Wheresoever the body is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
See that? Wherever the body is, that's where the eagles will be. So let's go back to Matthew 24 and let's read these three scriptures, 29, 30, and 31. Now, watch this.
Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation.
After the tribulation, right? Because all this stuff was going on during tribulation, right? Because in Matthew 24:1, the disciples asked 3 questions. But the one we're dealing with is what's the sign of your coming, and when will it be the last or the end of the age? So this is the end of mankind. So I don't see anybody that was taken up prior to Yahushua's second coming. Because it said we're not going to be taken up, which we're going to read until he came. But when did he come? Read that again in 29. This is when he came in 29.
Immediately after the tribulation.
So he didn't come till it was over. So if he didn't come till it was over, that meant you was in it. So blesses you that endure through it. So he ain't came until it was over. So you got to get that rapture theory out your life, out your mind. Get that thing out your psyche. Because it's a lie from the pit of hell by the Jesuits. So continue reading 29.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
So these are the signs of his coming. So every man gonna see this. Ain't gonna be no blue beam thing. Oh man, he locked up. Jesus locked up. No, he in the desert, man. Yeah, I got an email. Jesus in the desert, Joe. He's gonna rescue us from tribulation. Yeah, right. Verse 30.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, or Son of Adam, in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Look at that.
And they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Coming to judge and make war after tribulation. 31.
And he shall send his angel with a great sound of the shofar.
So the great sound of a trumpet. Now we finna deal with the trumpet. Go ahead.
And they shall gather together his elect.
His elect.
From the 4 winds. From one end of heaven to the other.
That's why I said earlier, all Israel is not going to be in the land. Because they're going to gather us from the 4 winds of the earth.
Even Israel.
Right. Israel is going to be scattered. But there's going to be a remnant of us in the land. So those of us that's in the land at the time of the last 3.5 years of the tribulation, he say, flee when you see this abomination of desolation taking place in the holy place. So when this sound of perdition step up and say, I am whatever you think God is, that's me. It's time to head up. But you should have enough spirit in you to head up before that, because the spirit is telling you it's time to go. It's time to go. So now we finna deal with it from another angle. We dealt with it from the perspective of what the disciples asked. Now we finna deal with it with the trumpets. We smashed it. Okay? Now we finna crumble on the theory and step on it. And when we get through, the rapture theory is going to be dust and powder. And when we get through with the dust and powder, it's going to be disappear. So we done stumped it. We're going to smash it till it's gone. All right? So now, we stumped it. Let's smash it into powder. So now let's go to 1 Thessalonians.
1 Thessalonians.
4th chapter.
Chapter 4.
Because he just said something in 24. of the 31, he said, and a trumpet.
The trumpet.
So let's deal with the shofar. That's why we blew it at the beginning of this telecast. We blew the trumpet. That's the announcement of the coming of a king, y'all. A king is coming, and the trumpets are blowing. But we're going to find out how many trumpets. I say 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13.
13.
Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13.
Get these scriptures, family, and learn and read them. Anything you don't understand, you can send us emails. You can go to the website, communityofisrael.com, and Israel give your website.
KhazaqYah.org.
Drybones12@yahoo.com, and give your email address.
Malachi@malachi.org.
You can hit us up if you don't understand anything that you saw today. Hey, hit us up. We located here, Southside Chicago, 10809 South Wentworth. All right. So we had 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13.
But I would not have you to be ignorant. Or ignorant. Brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sober not, even as others which have no hope.
See? Okay, continue on.
For if we believe that Yeshua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yeshua will Yah bring with him.
Look at that. So we're talking about his second coming. And when you talk about those that sleep, that means those that's resting or dead. So there will be some dead and there will be some alive. But remember Matthew 24 when it said, what is the end of the age? See, at the end of the world, it was intended for everybody to die. But everybody didn't die. And there's a reason for that. But it was intended for everybody to die. Why? Because Genesis 3 told us that. It says, Adam, from the dust you came, right? Then he said, Adam, the dust you going back. So every man has supposed to have died. But it said, for the elect's sake, every man didn't die. Why? Because y'all cut time short. So had he not cut time short, what would have happened? All men would have died. But the elect found favor in the eyes of the Most High, and he rescued them because prophecy had to be fulfilled.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. 15.
For this we say unto you by the word of Elohim, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of Yeshua shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Master himself shall descend from heaven with the shout.
That way, shout again.
And with the voice of the archangel. And with the trump.
All with the shofar
of Elohim.
There we go.
And the dead in the Messiah shall rise first.
So at his second coming, it's going to be with a trumpet. But we know, according to Revelation, there's more than one trumpet. So it says, with a trumpet. So we're going to find out which trumpet that he's going to come. And it says, those that's dead going to rise first, which everybody should have been dead. But because the elect's sake, everybody's not dead. Now continue on.
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds.
So we're going to be caught up with them, those of us that's alive. Because remember, at his second coming, he said that he's going to kill captains, kings, mighty men, and anybody, right? So only people going to be alive after that is the righteous, the ones he spared, right? Because you only have two sets of people here, dead righteous and living righteous. That's it. Those are the ones that's going to stay on the earth and live in the kingdom. So when nobody raptured up, he's coming in the clouds. That sounds like the earth to me. That's earthly atmosphere. That ain't in heaven. That's in the heavens, but the earth's atmosphere. All right? Continue on.
And together with him in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Master.
That's right. So we're going to ever be with him after we have gotten with him, although something's going to take place 1,000 years after that, but nevertheless, that won't have no effect on us. We still forever be with him. So now let's deal with the trumpet situation, and let's deal with this in 1 Corinthians the same lesson that Shaul taught Thessalonians, he taught in Corinthians, and he gave us a little bit more detail. Just like we dealt with Matthew, we dealt with Luke, same story. In that case, different authors. This case, same author, but a different group of people. And in the same story, he gave a little bit more details here and there. Why? Because more part was revealed to him at a later date. But anyhow, let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. So now what we're doing, all we're doing is confirming what we read in Matthew, the 24th chapter, but this is for the Pauline. Those that believe in the Pauline doctrine and believe that, well, Yahushua was still living and certain things don't count after he's dead. So now we're finna help them out.
Okay. 15:52.
Yeah, 15 and 51.
1 Corinthians 15:51. Behold, I show you a mystery.
Now the question is, what is a mystery? A mystery is something that was hidden from the foundation of the earth. It existed, but it wasn't revealed. So something has been revealed to Shaul, which is an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. Now, behold, I show you a lie, which is not a mystery. See, the Father didn't reveal no mysteries through the judgments.
Right.
He revealed a mystery through Shaul, a Hebrew from the tribe of Benjamin, who was named after the first king of Israel, which was King Shaul, the Benjaminite. All right? So, Shaul saying, behold, I show you a mystery, something that existed, but it wasn't revealed until now. At least to us. Continue on.
We shall not all sleep, but we shall be all changed.
Now look at that. Now, the reason why it's a mystery is because we all thought that everybody was going to die, right? Because Shaul taught in Hebrew. Then he teaches in Hebrews, the 9th chapter, he says, it's appointed for man wants to die. See what I'm saying? But the mystery is, for the elect's sake, every man didn't die. So the Father cut tribulation short. So the question is tribulation 3.5 years? That's a very good question, ain't it? Is it really 3.5 years? Or has it been, or is 3.5 years short of whatever it was supposed to be?
Right. Okay.
That's why I asked the question and didn't give the answer. Is it 3.5 years, or is 3.5 years short of maybe it should have been 20 years? But 3.5 years is all we can take from this beast, because he was going to wipe out the world. The scripture tells us in Daniel 7th chapter, he prevailed, didn't he? He made war with the saints, and he prevailed. The saints was being hid by the earth, and he was fighting us with technology. But the Father said, oh, you know what, son? Time's up. Handle your business. Handle your business. And Yahushua came down. He ain't spared no. He judged and he made war. But Shaul said, let me show you a mystery. We should all sleep, but we should be changed in the moment. 52.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump.
So we see that at the last trumpet, we're going to be changed. At the last trumpet. Not the first, not the second or the third, which is in tribulation falls between trumpet 1 and trumpet last. So whatever the last trumpet is, tribulation is in between. But he said at the last trumpet, right? Continue on.
For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
So that was a mystery that was from the foundation of the earth that the Most High revealed to Shaul. Now, let's go over to Revelation, the 8th chapter, and let's find out how many trumpets. Because it says, at the last trumpet. All we're doing is confirming Matthew 24. Same lesson, different avenue. You know, you going down Madison, I'm going down Jackson, but we both going to the Loop. We're going to end up at the same spot. So we have Revelation, the 8th chapter. So what we're doing, we're crushing the rapture theory into power. And when we get through crushing it into power, it's going to disappear. Poof, like smoke. And you know smoke going to hang around. You know, the room be cloudy, and then it get a little more dense, and next you know it's clear. Man, where the smoke go? Cleared out. That's what's going to happen to the rapture theory. We stumped into power. So we have Revelation 8, and we'll start at verse 6.
6? 8:6. And the seventh angel, which had the 7 trumpets, prepared themselves to sound.
Now, we see that there's 7 trumpets. So we see that Yahushua not coming into the last trumpet. He's not coming to the last trumpet. The last trumpet, it says in Matthew 24, the end immediately after tribulation. The last trumpet. All right? So let's learn some more about this last trumpet. Let's see what happened on this last trumpet. Let's go to Revelation 10 and verse 7.
Revelation 10 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery
There we go again, that word mystery.
of Elohim should be finished,
Mm-hmm.
as he had declared to his servants the prophets.
See that? So the mystery that the Most High has declared is unfold or came to fruition. It's being revealed. And part of the mystery is not all men died. Because all men were supposed to die. But because of some act that the saints did, caused them not to die. And caused tribulation, which was a prophecy, happened to be cut short. That's one thing you'll never hear, do you? Revelation was cut short.
No.
Nobody else did. The Most High showed me, I was like, man, look at that. It was cut short. So the question came in my mind, son, is it really 3.5 years?
Right.
Is it really? Is it? That's a good question. Dig in your scriptures. Go pray and fast and dig your scriptures and seek the Most High for the answer. Because I ain't got it yet, but I'm going to get it. I'm seeking them. I'm going to get it. I ain't got it yet. All right? Now, let's go a little bit more further. Let's go to Revelation 11 and verse 15.
And the 7th angel sounded,
Mm-hmm.
and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of Yahshua and of his anointed.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall reign forever and ever.
So we see that the Messiah came. He didn't stop midway and catch nobody up and hide them. He didn't do that, did he? He came to judge, and he came to make war. So family, we see that tribulation is Yahushua coming immediately after tribulation, and that the rapture theory, y'all, is false, the way they teaching it. Now, let's deal with something that they said that he's going to keep from the hour of temptation. Let's read that, and then we're gonna go further in the lesson. Let's go to Revelation 3 and 10. Revelation 3 and 10, because this is what Jack Van Impe like to say a lot. I hear him say this a lot. Jack Roan Impe. Revelation, and he might be a good brother, a good man with good intentions, but he wrong. You know what I'm saying? He wrong.
Completely wrong.
Yep.
3 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Now, the question is, or the key word here is, I will also keep them from the hour of temptation. Keep. What does the word keep mean? Because that's the key word. The word keep in the Greek dictionary, the Strong Concordance 5083, it means to guard from loss or injury. It don't mean to take you out. So you got to change your lesson, false prophet. Y'all know who y'all is. You can't read this to the people that done saw this video. Verse 10 again. It says, because you have kept my word of my patience. You kept it. You guarded it. That's what it means. You guard the law. You kept the law. Also, I will keep or guard you from loss or injury. When? From the hour of temptation. So I'm going to keep you while you're going through tribulation. Not take you from it. You will be there, but you will be kept in there. And when it gets so bad, where it won't keep you no more, the Father going to cut it short. Ain't that beautiful?
That's right.
He going to cut it short.
It's like the Hebrew boys was kept in the fire.
Kept in the fire. Kept in the fire. Very good point. Kept in the fire. But they went through it, didn't they? And it didn't consume them. The same way. But you know what? Let's beat this theory some more into the ground. We're going to beat it till it make us choke, and then we're going to get some air, and it's going to disappear. We are killing. We are murdering. Call the police, because we are assassinating the rapture theory. We're killing this theory. You better call the biblical police. And we finna kill this theory. Let's go further. Let's go to Acts 1. And there's so many places in this book we can go to kill this thing. It's you are really spiritually blind if you don't even get this understanding. And I ain't deep and all this stuff. It's elementary. If you don't know nothing else, Matthew 24:29. Immediately after those days, the tribulation, the Son of Man came. Immediately, it's one scripture. Kill a whole theory. But we beating it into powder. We're going to bury it. We're going to beat it. It won't even be enough to be an urn. You can't put the rapture thing on your shelf. We're going to beat this thing, and it's going to a puff of smoke, and the ruach, the wind, the spirit going to blow it away, and it don't even exist no more in your mind. Praise be to Yah.
Hallelujah.
So let's go to Acts 1, and we'll start at verse 2.
Acts 1:2. Until the day in which we was taken up, after he through the Ruach Kodesh, the set apart spirit, had given commandment unto the apostles whom he had chosen, to whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of Elohim.
So this is talking about when Yahushua was crucified for the sins of the world. He walked the earth 40 days. So prior to him going back to the Father, his disciples thought that this was his second return. So they thought what's taking place now was the judging and the making war. And we're going to see that. Continue on.
And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem.
Now we know this ain't his second coming, because he said don't depart. But in Matthew 24, what did he say? Flee. All right, continue on.
But wait for the promise of the Father, which saith he, ye have heard of me.
Now they probably like going, all right. Wait. See, people don't understand. The disciples wanted a warrior. Israel wanted a physical warrior. They want a thug. We want to take the city back. We want it back now. And that spirit is still hovering in us, because we're restless right now. And many brothers ain't got faith in Yahushua. Those who got it here, let them hear. They ain't got faith in Yahushua. They want to take the land physically. That ain't the way to do it, family. Wait for the Ruach. Ain't the way he just said? Wait. The disciples wanted him to take it. Why? We was under Greek rule. We had heathens. Isaiah the 50th chapter said they put their hands on me. The heathens, man, if you understand how we thought about everybody else that didn't know Yah, man, we looked down on people. We was like, man, these filthy heathens over us. We want our land back. And that's how we get now. But we getting restless. And brothers are losing the faith. And they falling off. Because that's why I said here is the patience of the faith. Patience is a virtue. It's a gift. It's something you need to pray for. Because if you ain't got patience, you're going to fall off or do something on your own. Wait for the Ruach. Continue on.
Verse 5. For Yahuchanan truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Ruach Kodesh not many days hence. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Rabbi, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom of Israel?
Now, I wanted to ask that question after what he just said. Because he's telling them, wait for the Spirit. It's coming. Well, you going to restore the kingdom?
Right now.
Because you read the story, you also was like, man, how long must I be with y'all? Because remember, the Spirit ain't came to remind them what he had said over in John 13, 14, 15, and 16. The promise of the Holy Spirit. So the Spirit ain't came to remind them. So they still the same old John and Peter and James and Christopher and Cornell and them. They the same ones.
Right.
So they ain't got the spirit yet. So they asked him, "Oh, you gonna restore the kingdom to us now?" He just told you to wait. Now watch this.
We're going to take it by force.
Right, we're gonna take it by force. You're gonna lose. Because the Israeli and the American government gonna tear your behind up because y'all ain't told you to go nowhere.
Okay.
Continue on.
And he said to them, "It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power."
See that the Father put in his power. That's why I said earlier, the Father told, "Okay, son, now it's time to go. Now it's time to go." Because the Messiah probably was on edge. He on his seat like this. I know he ready to come. He ready now. That's why he say, "Pray for my speedily come." "Oh, please, Master, come back and rescue us." He say, "Rejoice when someone dies." Because they escaped this mess on this earth. Because he know what's all up against. That's why he prayed in John 17 chapter. "Father, keep them in the world. Keep them."
Hallelujah.
Because he understand until his second coming, we in trouble. So he probably at his seat. And the Father sitting there. Cool, collected. And the host, he ready to come get his people, to get his bride.
Hallelujah.
He's ready to come get his bride. But the Father's like, "I got my own time, my own." That's why he ain't gonna figure out the time. That's why he cut it short. Because you can go to Jubilees, and you can calculate the time, and some people say it's gonna be 7,000 years, and you can calculate the time. Somebody know the day. Somebody know from when Adam was born until when that time's supposed to be up. But guess what? Because the elect's sake, he cut it short. So now you don't know.
Right.
Now you don't know because you don't know when the elect is going to hit a nerve with the Most High.
That's right.
Crying out in the wilderness, and he gonna say, "I've heard the cry of my people."
Hallelujah.
Just like he told Moses in the wilderness in Midian. He said, "I've heard the cry of my people, Moses. You gotta go get them."
get 'em.
He gonna tell Yehoshua the same thing. "I hear the cry now. Now it's time to go." But no man know. That's in Yah's mind. Who can search the mind of Yah?
Hallelujah.
Who can search? No man know. It was a mystery, and the Father allowed it to be revealed to Shaul because it was appointed once for man to die, but not no more.
Good word. Good word.
Everybody ain't gonna die.
That's right.
Some people is going to be alive at Yehoshua's second coming. So nobody knows the time, they know the season. Yehoshua gave us some clues.
That's right.
Continue on, verse 8.
"But ye shall receive power after that the Ruach Kadesh, the set apart spirit, is come upon you.
So you got to teach something. All right, continue on.
And you shall be witnesses unto me both into Jerusalem and into Judea and into Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth."
Now that's what we grab onto that prophecy. Now we taking it to the uttermost parts of the earth. Because we got that same ruach as the disciples got. Because we became disciples. And now we apostles. And now we taking the word to the uttermost. We know they didn't go farther than Samaria.
Hallelujah.
They was on camel's back, man. But we got the World Wide Web. www, which is a 666. We know that. But while it's yet day, the World Wide Web, which is the beast system, you got to carry out Yah's plan. Because Yah control the beast.
Right.
Yah say, "I'll make evil." So
right.
beast, you ain't got nothing on Yah. Yah is controlling the World Wide Web until he through with it.
Right.
Then once he take his hands off, then you can have your little say in Jerusalem. But for now, this World Wide Web is going to take Yehoshua to the four corners of the earth.
Hallelujah.
It's going to take him to the four corners of the earth.
Hallelujah.
So that's what the job of the Holy Spirit is, to give us power that we may bear witness of the Most High.
That's right.
So we are bearing witness of Yahushua through the four corners of the earth.
That's right.
All right, verse 9.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. "And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and the cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel,
Two angels, two men. All right, continue on.
which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yeshua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven."
Now, just like we was already told in Matthew 24 and different places we read, he said we're going to see the Son of Man come in the cloud. So it says he gonna come back the same way. We read in Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians and Corinthians, he's coming. The dead gonna rise first, and then the living. And it said we all gonna meet him in the clouds at his second coming. But we know that that cloud is in the earth's atmosphere, and we know that cloud is somewhere right here in the 12th verse. So read the 12th verse.
Then return unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey.
So we're going to meet him in the clouds above the Mount of Olives. That's where we're going to meet the Messiah and forever be with him. Not in heaven, on earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. We're going to meet the Messiah on the mount called Olives in the cloud just above the mountain. And then the mountain is going to split and cause a valley. Now let's go to KhazaqYah, the 14th chapter.
Hallelujah.
See, we smashing this rapture theory, and now it's turning into power. And pretty soon, the wind, the ruach going to come, and it's going to blow the thing. It's going to be blown away. So let's deal with Zechariah 14. Which then we read earlier, it was given to the prophets.
Yes, sir.
The mystery.
Hallelujah.
So this is one of the prophets it was given to. So you start at 14:1.
ZechariYah 14:1. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
See that? So flee. Remember he told them to flee? He told them to flee. But it says that the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. But if time would have went on, it would have. But for the elect's sake, he cut time short. Man, them eyeballs looking at me, man. He time cut short. Verse 3.
Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, which as he fought in the day of battle.
Now, it says that Yahweh shall, is that literally Yahweh, and then Yahweh literally fought in the battle previous? Now, if you got a problem with your Yahushua in the Torah, where is there previously Yahweh fought in the battle? Or where is it previously that Yahweh ever got from the throne? This should have said Yahushua, which is doing Yah's will. It don't matter what the name of the person is, because even if this was Michael or Gabriel, it's still the day of Yah's wrath. But that individual is Yahushua.
There you go.
This individual right here is Yahushua.
There you go.
Returning.
There you go.
This is his second return, which is told by the prophet Zechariah. All right. Verse 4. Now remember we read in Acts 1. All right.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives.
Oh, we're going to meet him in the clouds. We're going to meet him on the clouds. On the Mount of Olives. Why you men gazing? Why them disciples stand? They were looking up. They said, why y'all look? He coming back the same way. The same way he left, he coming back on the Mount of Olives. And we're going to meet him. Those of us, well, those of them that's dead. And those of us that's alive is going to be changed within the twinkling of an eye during the time of tribulation at his second coming. Immediately after, we're going to meet him in the sky. Boom, boom. We're going to come down. And something going to take place.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west. And there shall be a valley, a very great valley.
Oh, the valley of Jehoshaphat.
And half of the mountains shall remove towards the north, and half towards the south.
So it's going to split all them people. Because you know it's a lot of big overweight saved folks. Because you know we do a lot of chicken dinners. And every Sunday we go to the buffet. So now we keeping the Shabbat. We going to the buffet after Shabbat now. So there's going to be a lot of big folk who come back with them side and the mountain gonna split. Boom. All right. Continue on, verse 5.
And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains. For the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yes, you shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Yahudah. And Yahshua, or Yahoshua,
There you go.
my Elohim, shall come, and all the Israelites with him.
There you go. Look at that. Now, but I thought you were going to be in heaven. I thought we was going to be in heaven. It says he's coming and all the saints with him on earth. On earth. That theory is turning powder now. The Spirit's about to blow it up out of here. And it shall be one day we shall be known to Yahweh. Not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. Look at that. Another clue. Another clue. So we just smashed that rapture theory. You know what? I feel like smashing some more. Let's continue on. Let's go to Matthew 13th chapter. And this is another way, another short way. Because what we did is when you read the history of where it came, you know, in order to really get a good hit on somebody, hit him in the face, sometimes you got to like put him in the air and size him up, and then you can still on him. See, that's what we did. We put it in the air. Now we hitting it. Bow! Now we knocking it out. So let's go to Matthew 13. ObadYahu. What's that? The gift of Yah? That's the gift.
13.
Yeah, 13. Let's hit one of these parables because it's
24.
All of them is yeah. Let's hit 24. My man, we on the same page.
Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field.
Now let's pause right there for 1 second. Another parable. Let me explain to you the term parable. The term parable just means a proverb. Proverb and parable is the same thing. And the Messiah spoke in proverbs, in parables, and parable means a sense of superiority in mental action. So we got some superiority in mental action that's taking place right now. So this is only for those who think highly. Because if you're not a highly thinker, you won't catch it. So we just broke down the rapture theory, or we broke down actually the coming of the Messiah in elementary terms. Now this is for the deep folk. The deep folk, what they call them, paralytics, you know, somebody that can't catch nothing simple, but they pick up the smart stuff, you know, artistic or something. You know, we just broke it down for the simple, or for the one that's dull of understanding. We went all the way back and we came all the way up. Now we finna break it down for the smart. This is for those who is smart. That's what a parable is for. It ain't for the dummy, because the dumb ain't gonna catch it. He ain't gonna catch it. So this is for those that superiority in mental action, quick thinkers on their feet. All right. So it says another parable. You quick thinkers. You couldn't understand the easy way. Now you understand the hard way. All right. Verse 25.
But while men slept, Mr. Park.
The kingdom of heaven. Let's go
The
back
kingdom
to
of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among them, the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up,
harvest,
and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did not thou sow good seed in the field? From whence then have it tares?
Now check this out. Every time, you know it's hard for the Israelites to grow grass, right? So every time I plant my grass every year, the bag say grass seed. I go to various spots, Home Depot, Ace, and get me some grass seeds. But when I plant it, weeds come. Man, what's this all about? And not only that, they come, and you don't even ask them. They show up on their own you know, and they grow in some of the most low soil places on a crack on your roof of your house, a crack in the concrete, a weed can grow. You know, I plant grass seed and weeds grow. You know what I'm saying? Just giving y'all something to think about. Okay, continue on.
28. He said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up?
So he wanted to take the lawnmower, right? He just wanted to go and so what did the Messiah say?
But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them.
Uh-huh.
Let both grow together until the harvest.
Right.
And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them into bundles to burn them.
Now, stop right there. Now, look at the order of that. Now, that's the same order that we read earlier when he said, well, Master, where they go? Because remember, the ones that were saved, he hadn't touched them.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he get first when we read earlier?
Mm-hmm.
He said, first,
Mm-hmm.
get the tares.
Mm-hmm.
So when he comes, he's going to kill the tares. All right? And they going,
Meat for fowls.
there you go. It says, together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them,
Mm-hmm.
but gather the wheat in the barn. So the wheat is last.
Mm-hmm.
Because the barn is the kingdom. Because he's coming and setting the kingdom up, but grab the tares. So we see the same pattern as we saw the long way. This is for the deep people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't need to go no further. We done killed this rapture time. Now, we're in here where he came early and he rescued some folk and paused in the sky, you know, like on what was the brother name? The movie star. He come and stop, and then he did what he had to do.
Something like the Matrix.
Yeah, like the Matrix. You know, the Messiah gonna stop in midair and sit there for 70 years, and then look at his watch, looking around at everybody. Okay, time to go. It ain't happening like that, y'all. The rapture theory is a theory that came from a 15-year-old diva, a goddess, a young lady who was trained to be a witch. That's where it came from.
Hollywood.
Yep, it's a Hollywood, it's theatrical, and it ain't scripture. So those who got an ear, let them hear what the Spirit is saying.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Nothing else left.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing else left with that.
Still rolling? Stop it. Yeah, you stop it.
Perry Stone, he was corresponding with me about my video, and I gave him the scriptures, and I asked him, I said, well, you talking about you got to see it in the spirit. I don't need to see it in the spirit, I need to see it in the word. So he never got it. He stopped responding to me then, and he started making jokes.